I've made your favorite guru over $3 million by selling their digital products over Zoom calls. I've also invested tens of thousands of dollars into courses and mentorships to be able to do this. So today I'm literally going to give you my entire sales blueprint that I've used to sell over $3 million so you can just copy me and do the same thing for yourself. Let's get into it. So in this document, I have my entire A to C B2C sales framework, literally everything that I do on my sales call that's allowing me to close over $3 million. This specific framework is going to be for a B2C type of offer. And what B2C means, it means that you're selling to consumers. So instead of selling to actual businesses, you're selling to normal people, like everyday 9-to-5ers, people looking to lose weight, people looking to make money online, etc. So I'm going to show you the entire process, exactly what I say every single part of the call, what I say in the beginning of the call, how I dig into their problem, how I figure out their goal, exactly how I pitch the program, and exactly how I close the deal and overcome objections, literally everything, the entire framework. So let's get into it. First things, I'm like this key overall fundamental things it's important to have in place that I always remind myself of before every single sales call that I go into. I've taken thousands of calls and I do this before every single call. I remind myself, number one, commitment to the process, detaching myself from needing every single sale to close, and instead just focusing myself as much as possible on just enjoying the process and getting to the truth with every single person I'm speaking with. I don't need everyone to buy. I just need to get to the truth and do a good process, which is basically like following this exact sales framework I'm going to show you in the video. Second thing is I am a leader. I'm showing up to the sales call as the person who's going to be driving the call for. I'm going to challenge people. I'm going to be present in the moment and show up as the leader that this person, aka the prospect, needs to be able to actually make a good decision and get to where they want to go, which is going to be uncomfortable for them. So that's why I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be certain. I'm going to lead them throughout the entire process and be the confident person that they need to actually make the changes required to get to where they want to go. Okay. Oak tree energy, leaning out and rooted in the soil. This basically is like the energy, the tonality that I have in my type of, and it's how I show up on a sales call. I have oak tree energy. What that means is no matter what the prospect says, no matter what objections they give me, no matter how they respond to my questions, no matter really what happens throughout the entire call, I am grounded. I am like an immovable tree that's just like rooted deeply in the soil. Nothing that they say is going to even face me whatsoever. No objection, no questions, nothing is going to face me. I'm grounded deep in the soil. I'm certain and I'm stoic. That's super, super key in terms of your energy to show up in the right way. I lean out. I don't need anyone to buy. I have something that's great. I know I can help the person I'm speaking with, but I don't need anyone to buy. I'm leaned out and I'm detached from the sale. Like I said, I'm rooted in the soil. Nothing that they say is gonna like affect me. I'm not gonna get like mad or upset or emotional or anything. I'm rooted deep in the soil and it's very, very certain and still. Super important in terms of getting into the right state. I'm present. I listen to every single word that they say. Okay, super important for especially beginners. If you're trying to get into high ticket sales right now, or you're like newer in high ticket sales and closing, be present. Meditation helps a lot with this. Just coming into every single sales call and being very, very present, hearing every single word the prospect says. The more in tune you can be with the person you're speaking with, the better your sales calls will be. If you can just detach yourself from the script and like having these exact like words that you're gonna say, and instead just focusing more on the person and hearing their sub communication, like the words they're saying, but also like the meaning that's behind them. If you just get in touch and really just have all of your attention and focus on the person, you will automatically ask the right questions and your sales calls will become very, very efficient and very, very good as well. Listen to every single word they say and just go deeper. If you truly listen to what the person is saying and where you should take the call next will become obvious if you just have your attention fully focused on the person. Super, super key. I don't need anything. I'm detached, poised. This is a type of energy. I show up to a sales call not needing this person to buy whatsoever. A lot of beginner closers make the mistake of just being way too needy. You know, you move for the call, you pitch the program and you get your first objection, and then right away your energy shifts. You know, the prospect can feel that you really, really want to close them, and that kind of turns them off, you know. So really embody this energy of like, I don't need this prospect to buy. I have this great thing. I have this great offer. I know I can help this person, but I'm detached. I don't need this person to buy. I'm just going to get to the truth of if they're actually ready to overcome whatever is holding them back to get to where they want to go. If they're actually serious about making this transformation happen, that's it. Okay. You don't need the person. You don't need them to buy. Super, super helpful to get into the right mind space. These things are stuff that every single time before a sales call I hop into, I look at these things just to get into the right state. Now we're going to get into the actual sales process. So up here, this is what you will see. This is basically what I do before I drop the price. I want to make sure that before I drop the price and I get into actually closing the prospect, that we have all of these different beliefs in place. And this is something that I learned from a mentor that I had. His name is Cole Gordon. He teaches this framework which basically what it is 7 beliefs, 7 different beliefs that a prospect needs to have in order to buy. If the prospect believes that number 1, they have a pain, they have a problem that they need to solve. Number 2, they can't solve that problem on their own. They have doubt that they can't solve it on their own. They have a cost, aka they have a cost associated with not solving the problem. For example, they're overweight right now, and if they don't fix that within the next 2 years, they're gonna have serious health issues, or they're not gonna be able to shop for their kids like they want to do. There's a serious cost to staying with the current pain that they're experiencing. Desire, there's a desirability if they fix the problem. Money, they have the money to be able to actually invest in fixing the problem, and they're also willing to invest money to fix the problem. Support, they have support from like friends, family, maybe their spouse, maybe their partner in fixing the problem. And then trust. And what trust means is 3 different things. Number 1, that they trust in you, aka the salesperson. They trust in the actual process, the actual program that you're offering. And number 3, they trust in your company to be able to actually help them deliver on the results that they want. If your prospect has all these different 7 beliefs in place when you drop the price, you will close that person. There's not going to be any objections whatsoever. Every single objection you can get is going to be traced back to one of these things. If you can check all these boxes before you even get to the price, you will have objectionless closes. And this is exactly how I'm able to do my sales calls without getting any objections at the end of the call, because I'm checking out all these different things throughout the call in a very specific way I'm going to show you before we even get to the price drop. So let's get into how I actually do this. The process that I use is right here. So first off, when you hop on the call, first thing we do, pretty simple, very straightforward, is an intro. We hop on the call, and I see a lot of beginner closers make the mistake of sitting here for like 10 minutes asking them about like, what's your favorite basketball team, and like where are you based, and what's the weather out there. Don't make the mistake of seeming like an absolute beginner by spending like 10 minutes in the like intro part. This should be quick, straight to the point. Think about it like this: when you go to the doctor, does the doctor waste like 10 minutes just like talking about all these random things, or are they straight to the point? Straight to the point, okay? A lot of people think that if I sit there with the prospect and we find like common grounds between us, you know, like we're interested in the same sports team or we grew up in the same town, that they're going to trust you more. That is not true, okay? The person is going to trust you the most when you seem like an expert, because you ask good questions, you get to the problem quickly, you ask insightful questions, and you give them insight into why they're experiencing the problem, okay? When you go to the doctor, you start trusting the doctor because they're asking you these good questions. They're asking you, okay, are you feeling pain right here or right here? Or this is probably why you're experiencing pain. And they're giving you like an actual diagnosis to your problem. That's when you start trusting them, not because you grew up in the same place, okay? Same thing applies on your sales call. Be very, very quick when it comes to the intro here. What I will do, I will basically ask them one question. Hey man, how's your day been so far? You just coming out of work, or what's going on? Like, just like kind of check in with them, you know, like get on the same level, give them like a quick insight. Yeah, I'm just coming out of a call before this, excited to talk with you right now. Just quick, doesn't have to take more than 30 seconds. Hey man, what's going on? How's your day been so far? And you just tell them like, yeah, I just coming out of a call before this. I was just out for lunch. I was just at a workout. It was really good. Now I'm excited to speak with you. That's it. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. That's rapport right there. Next thing is setting the actual frames, basically letting the prospect know what's going to happen on the call, okay? This is especially important when you're talking to consumers that might not have had a lot of sales calls before. You just want to kind of let them know what's going to happen in the process, and that they're actually going to get what they came to get on the call, which is more information about the offer. So basically what I would say here is, so really what I want to do in this call is just get a bit better context about kind of like where you're at, what type of goals you have, what type of challenges you've been facing so far in terms of getting there. You'll see if I can really like help you out with what we do on our end. And if things make sense, if it's in alignment with what we do and we can really help you out, I'm happy to walk you through more like a customized game plan of what it's going to look like for you specifically, answer all the questions, and walk you through how you can get started with. Is that cool? Cool. That's it. Super simple frame. Don't overdo this stuff. Keep it simple, keep it straight to the point, and focus on building rapport by just having a good discovery part of the call, the information gathering part of the call, okay? When we move into the next part, which is information gathering, the goal here is basically, number one, understanding their desired situation. Like, what does this person actually want? What is the end goal of them? And then we want to assign a couple of different things to that. We want to figure out exactly what their ultimate goal is, like what the end goal, what long-term vision is, what their monetary goals, basically assign a number, like how much money does this person want to be making. That could also be like a dream weight or a dream partner. You can assign different types of like numbers. It doesn't have to be specifically money, but in this example, let's keep it simple. We're going to keep this for like a business opportunity offer. So like how to start an offer, basically teaching people how to make money online and get to their first, let's say 10K a month online and replace their 9 to 5, which is one of the main offers in this industry. Okay. So we want to get a number of how much extra you want to be making. Long-term vision is figuring out what the bigger term vision is, like what they actually want to achieve other than just the money, and then non-monetary. So these things kind of overlap, as you can see. So just to give you some examples here what this could be, the ultimate goal could be for someone to replace their 9 to 5 and be able to not work 9 to 5, 45 hours per week anymore, be able to travel, be able to be with their kids more, and they would need to make, let's say, $8,000 per month to be able to do that. The long-term vision is to eventually have their own like family business, let's say, that they want to pass on to their kids, make sure their kids can have a good future. And the non-monetary goal for them is, again, basically just to have freedom, be able to travel, be able to not be in a 9 to 5, things like that. When you have these different things, when you know the monetary goal, the long-term goal, and the non-monetary goal, and the ultimate North Star of what they want, in this example, that would be getting out of the 9 to 5. That's really the first thing we want to figure out in the information gathering, is getting very, very clear on what the person actually wants, what the desired situation is. Once we know that, we can work backwards into the current situation, okay? A lot of sales coaches will tell you that you should always start off with the current situation first in your information gathering, and that can definitely work. But if it's a call with a B2C type of prospect, we're talking to someone that's a consumer that's looking to get out of the 9 to 5, for example, a lot of times they don't actually know what the problem is, they don't actually know what the issue is. So if you start digging in through figuring out what they're struggling with right now, etc., it's going to be very hard for you to diagnose them because they don't even know what their problem is themselves, So it's way better to start off with the desired situation right away. You will get a clear North Star of what the person wants, and you can just kind of backtrack and work yourself from that and figure out how far away are we from that goal right now. It's way easier with B2C prospect because they don't actually know what the problem is themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the call a lot of times. So it's just going to save you a lot of headache, make it easier for yourself, and allow you to get faster to the actual real problem if you start off with what do they want instead of what's the problem right now. Okay. If this would have been a B2B call, then I recommend starting with the current situation, because business owners, they usually know what their bottleneck is, whereas consumers, they typically don't know what it is. Okay. So now that it comes time to actually dig into the current situation, number one is just uncover their reason for change. Okay. So by this time, it's probably going to be pretty obvious what this person wants. If it's more freedom, if it's more income, if it's more flexibility, whatever it is. We just want to go deeper on that. Okay. So let's say, for example, it is someone who just wants to make more money. Okay. So let's say this person he's looking to make 10K per month online, be able to travel, etc. Okay, got it. So how far away are we from that number right now? How far away from 10K are we right now? We want to develop that gap, Right now I'm making 2K per month, I want to make 10K per month. Great, and we have a gap there. Right now I weigh 250 pounds, I want to weigh 200 pounds, clear gap in between there. We want to figure that out, exactly what their current situation actually looks like. And then we do these things I mentioned before. We want to make sure that the doubt is there. We want to make sure that this person feels like they can't figure this out on their own. We want to figure out what type of solutions they've been looking into, if we need to eliminate other potential bridges, other solutions. Let's say they're looking at a drop shipping program and looking at doing trading and looking at doing a marketing agency. We want to figure that out. We want to know what the other things that they're doing to fix their problem, so we can eliminate those other potential bridges from their current to their desired situation and really sell them on our solution. Okay. And then we want to do cost and why now questions. We want to figure out how much action has this person actually taken so far to get to their goal, and really dig into and get them to understand that the cost of them not making change, why now they actually want to make change, and overcome any limiting beliefs, fear, etc., that's holding this person, or that's been holding this person back from taking action. If we do all these different things in the current situation part of the call, we will get this prospect to a stage where they have a lot of urgency and they're ready to actually take action to make change. And that's when we eventually get into the pitch. And then sometimes, not on every single call, but sometimes you will ask them about the support question, is figure out if they have a spouse involved, especially if it's more a feminine type of energy, like a woman you're talking to. You want to figure out if they have if they have a spouse that should be involved in the conversation, etc. Maybe their husband is providing for the household, maybe she's not working. You want to figure it out so you don't get that objection come back up at the end, So once we covered all these different things, we've finished the information gathering part of the call, we built urgency, and we've checked off a lot of potential objections and eliminated them before even getting to the pitch. Next thing is just about building the trust in our solution and customizing our pitch to exactly what their problem is, and also the things they've tried in the past. Okay. Before moving into the pitch, we need to actually do a transition. So wrap up discovery, pre-pitch, and where do we go from here? Okay. First off, wrap up discovery. Basically what that's going to sound like is something like this. Cool, man. So I don't feel like I have any more questions. Makes a lot of sense about where you're at, type of goals you have, what you're looking for help with, and we can definitely help you with this as well. So I have some insights and some thoughts I want to share with you if you're open to it. That's it. That's just you wrapping up discovery, letting them know that you don't have any more questions and that you feel like you can definitely help them, and that you have some thoughts. Basically, it's getting permission to share your thoughts. Then we move into what I call a pre-pitch. Basically, what you want to do here, I can make an entire new video about the pre-pitch. It's a massive thing that I use in my sales calls to bump up my closing rate to 50 to 60% plus, even on like ice cold prospects. Basically what this is a method that I use on my sales calls to sell the prospect on our method of success, okay? So let's say you're selling a coaching program that teaches people how to make money and how to make their first 10K a month with dropshipping, as an example, okay? You want to sell the person on dropshipping being the best and the most efficient and the most fast and the most smart vehicle for them to go from where they are to their goal before you pitch the program, okay? If you make that sale on your sales call, pretty much everyone will buy, okay? If you get people to buy into your method of success before pitching the program, you'll make a lot of sales and your closing rate will skyrocket as a closer, okay? Every single sales call, I always just want to make sure that before I pitch our program, I get the person bought in on the actual method to success. Because here's the thing, especially nowadays when there's hundreds of different like business opportunities, you know, everything from like starting all kinds of different businesses, you know, like TikTok shop, trading, like all these different things you can be doing to make your first 10K a month online. The reason why people are not buying from you, most likely right now, it's not because they don't like your program and the coaching that you offer. It's just because they're not sure that your path and doing your business model is the best thing for them to go from where they are to their goal. So that's what you need to do before you talk about your program. You need to get them 100% bought in that your path to success. Let's say you're selling like a diet coaching offer, like a health coaching offer, that the keto diet, for example, or like the vegan diet or the carnivore diet, whatever you're teaching, you know, is the best path for them to get from where they are to their goal. That's what the pre-pitch is all about. So I ask specific questions and give some like analogies, some personal stories and some client stories in this section right here to really get them fully bought in that our method to success is the best path for them to take, and getting them to realize why all other paths are not as good as what we teach, you know? And then once I've done that, I tell them like, so that's kind of my thoughts for you, and we can definitely help you when it comes to actually getting into this and going from where you are to where you want to go. Obviously, you would input their current situation and their goal. So now it's kind of up to you, man. Where do you want to go from here? Okay, you give them back control. You let them tell you like, yeah, I want to hear about your program. I want to hear what you guys do. Okay. And then you pitch. You want them to ask you to get pitched. You don't want to be like, yeah, so do you want to know what we do? I would rather just have them tell me, like, I want to hear your pitch. I want to hear what you guys do, basically. So that's kind of why we like give them back control. Where do you want to go from here? Yeah, I want to hear about your program. Cool. We get into the pitch. The pitch, it's basically it's the three different things we want to do here. So first off, give them a high level promise. Tell them what the entire program is about. So it can basically just be like this. So really what it's all about, what we do, it's very custom what we do in terms of our coaching program. It's basically 3 different steps that we go through to take you from where you are right now, working this 9 to 5, making 2K a month, getting that freedom that you're looking for, getting you out of the 9 to 5, allowing you to make your first 10K a month online so you can start traveling. It's going to be about a 90-day journey to get you there in 3 different phases. And then you move them through those 3 different pillars. You want to break down whatever offer you're selling into 3 different steps to success, okay? This could be in a diet coaching offer. It could be number 1, we want to evaluate your starting point and see exactly what you're struggling with right now, create a customized plan for you. Step 2 is going to be holding you accountable to that plan. And then step number 3 is going to be creating like a long-term implementation once you're actually seeing the first results. If it's a make money online offer, it could be like number 1 is building out your skill set and learn the skills of sales. Number 2 is finding an actual business to go work for. And number 3 is making sure you perform at the business, okay? Whatever offer you're selling, break it down into 3 different kind of steps to success and think about it as like 3 stages to their journey, basically, of going from where they are to the goal. And that's how you should pitch it, as like 3 different stages of first month, second month, and third month, for example. If you pitch that way, they will be able to visualize it themselves. The prospect can feel it in their own head. They can see it in their own head of what it's going to look like when they start working with you, which makes them more certain about your solution being the right thing. This is going to increase your closing rate a lot if you do this. And then once you've done that, once you explain the entire journey, then you get into the actual deliverables of what they actually get from working with you. You know, like the amount of coaching calls, the course that they will get, the one-on-one access, all that stuff. You explain that afterwards. Okay. Once you've done this, once you've done the pitch, you want to get into what we call the committing phase. A lot of people miss this, which is why you're struggling at the end of your call to close deals and you're getting like 50 different objections and not knowing where people are not buying from you because you're missing this part right here. After you pitch, you need to always make sure that the person is confident about the program. We need to get 100% certain that the prospect feels like your solution and your program, everything that we talked about up until this point, is the right thing for them to do, okay? So the way we do this is by doing what we call a temp check. So after you presented the program, you ask them, okay, either number 1, how do you feel about the program? More like a brief, vague question. Or number 2, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you hate the program, 10 being this is the best thing you ever heard. And you feel like this is exactly what you need to go from X, Y, and Z to X, Y, and Z situation. Where do you feel like you fall right now in terms of this program actually getting you to where you want to go? Okay. You ask them that, get the confidence from that they're actually certain about your program. Once you've gotten like a 8, 8.5 or higher, that are actually confident about it and they motivated you why they're confident, then you move into the next steps. This is super crucial. If you miss this part, it's going to be very hard to handle objections. If you do this, way easier, because if you do this correctly, the only objection you will get after presenting price is typically just logistics, just like money if they can't afford it, or a bit of fear. That's it. And it's way easier to handle compared to if they're like unsure and they have questions or uncertainty about the program after you give them the price. So super key to always do this before you present price. Then you want to give them next steps before you drop the price. This is super important. If you just give someone the price without telling them the next steps, they're going to feel like they're jumping off a cliff when they're buying your program, and they're going to be more scared towards getting that first step, you know? So you want to tell them like what's going to happen after they pay you, just to put them at ease, make them feel more comfortable with actually starting to work with you and paying you that money, okay? So tell them like, yes, what's going to happen is first off, we take care of the investment, then we'll get you access to our platform, then you will have your first onboarding call with your coach, etc. And then you will start working right away and start working towards X, Y, and Z goal down the road. Then we give them the investment. So the investment to work with us is just $10,000. That's it. And then you shut up, okay? You say the price and you be quiet and you let them speak. Super important thing that a lot of people just get wrong because they're nervous. You shut up and you let them say whatever they say. And at this point, it's super, super key, like we talked about before. You need to be the oak tree. You need to be relaxed, detached. Whatever they tell you, whatever objection they come with, think for yourself, like they're probably going to have an objection. Expect the objection to come and don't change your state, whatever you do. Don't become mad or irritated or annoyed with them giving an objection. Just be still, relaxed, leaned out, and just handle whatever they say with like almost excitement, you know? And then realize there's 3 different objections you can get on a sales call. So hopefully at this point, you've executed everything that I just showed you in this video, and you're not going to get any objections in most cases. You'll just take the payment, close them, get that commission paid to your bank account. But if you get an objection, it's always going to stem back to one of these 3 things right here. Uncertainty, which can be that they're unsure about the program, they're unsure about now being the right time to start the program, or they're just scared, you know, scared of spending the money, or scared of like trying something, like what if it doesn't work, things that's going to be the first thing. Secondly, here we have these more logistical type of objections, which is either that they actually need to speak with their partner, which is most of the time when you get a spouse objection, it's not actually a need. They just want to like externalize responsibility on their partner, which is actually uncertainty. They're actually just unsure about it themselves. You just need to bring up their certainty on the program. But in some cases, it's actually logistical. They need to talk with their spouse because otherwise they're gonna they can't afford it on their own, or they their spouse is gonna get pissed if they spend the money they have common finances, etc. So in some cases, actually they need to talk with their partner before doing it, but that's very rare. Most of the cases you can actually handle it by just going into uncertainty. Finances, if they physically can't do it, you need to figure out a payment plan in order for them to be able to afford it. You figure these things out, and very important note here is there's a reason why we handle uncertainty before we handle finances, spouse, and partner, okay? Because you can never handle logistical objections while talking to a prospect that's uncertain about the program now being the right time, or they have fear, okay? We need to get them to a point where they're 100% sure they want to do the program, and it's just the money, or it's just talking to their husband and getting them on board, or their wife, whatever it is. We need to get them to that point before we can actually handle these objections. Because otherwise, if we move into handling building out a payment plan, or handling the finances, or handling a spouse objection when the person's actually uncertain about the program, we're not going to close them when we overcome that objection, okay? There's still going to be more stuff that's going to come back up, and we're going to get 10 different objections. It's going to be very hard to close. We're probably going to lose the deal, okay? So you want to handle uncertainty first. Make sure that we're 100% bought in. They want to do the program. Now is the right time. There's nothing holding them back from starting, other than just talking to their spouse, getting them on board, or getting the finances sorted out. And then we move into handling that, and then we close the deal. If you do this in the right order, closing becomes way, way easier. A lot of times I see beginners lose deals because they don't do this in the right order. They start handling a spouse objection when the prospect is actually just uncertain. And then they end up just staying in this loop, and they end up having calls, they just go off to Pluto and end up not closing the deal because he just did it in the wrong order. So make sure you do this in the right order. Uncertainty first, then you do the logistical stuff, and then you end up closing the deal. So there you go. That's the entire framework that I use on my sales calls to close at over 50% and make multiple 6 figures per year in high-ticket sales. Obviously, there's a lot more to this in terms of your tonality, the specific questions to ask, how to actually show up on your sales calls in the right way, and also getting into an actual company to go and sell for. So if you don't help with these things, I have my own coaching program where I've helped over 100 guys get into high-ticket sales and go from 0 to making their first 10K a month online with this. I teach them the script. I help them find good opportunities to work for. I help them perform in these roles, everything when it comes to succeeding in high-ticket sales. So if you want to learn from me directly and get trained one-on-one from me, apply for one-on-one coaching down below this video by booking a call. If you have any questions at all, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I reply to all DMs over there. I can give you more insights, etc. in the DMs. So don't hesitate to message me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys very, very soon in the next video. Hopefully this is valuable. Talk soon.